Today, we're going to take a good hard look at the BMW R18 concept. We're going to compare the two versions of the concept, drill down into the specs, discover some interesting features, and see what's changed between the two iterations of the R18. We'll then discuss where BMW may be going with this project, and if they're going where I think they are, I'll explain why I think they may have a problem. It's May 2019, and out of nowhere, BMW showcases to the world an all-new concept cruiser they've been very quietly working on. It's wonderful, and I can't believe this R18 concept came from the headquarters of BMW. You can instantly see this bike is the result of some truly dedicated motorcycle enthusiasts putting in many hours. It's a thing of beauty and clearly a labour of love. From the clean lines of the unobtrusive frame, under-seat shock allowing an unbroken line through the rigid-looking swing arm, to the discreetly hidden wiring and styling cues a top US custom bike shop would gladly put their name to. This thing hits the nail on the head in so many ways. A fully exposed and on-show big 1802cc twin-cylinder engine, reversed brake and clutch controls, shrouded upside-down forks, and surely its crowning stroke of genius, an exposed nickel-plated drive shaft complete with exposed nickel-plated universal joint. Everywhere I look, I'm blown away. But after only a few short minutes of indulgence, something starts to niggle at me. I think I see a problem. Come November 2019, and the concept has changed.
Philip, you changed, man!
Substantial revisions have been made. But while some may lament lost opportunities, I'm encouraged by what appears to be a concept much closer to reality and a bike looking like it's almost production ready. Even though it can be argued that it doesn't look as visually rewarding as the original concept, I still like what I'm seeing. Gone are the reversed levers, upside-down forks, patterned headlight lens, fishtail-inspired exhausts, open frame, spoked wheels, minimalist fenders and custom seat. What replaces these are conventional forks, LED headlight, Brembo RCS radial master cylinders, all new potentially Brembo GP4 RX 4-piston calipers, front and rear, more traditional looking mufflers, side covers disguising battery and airbox, more substantial fenders, alloy wheels and a more comfortable looking seat. I can also see tiny little indicator/brake lights mounted under the swing arm, although I can't locate any front indicators. The addition of an oil cooler and a few other features I'll mention shortly. Looking at the all-new two-cylinder 1802cc engine, nicknamed Big Boxer by BMW, we see it produces 91 horsepower at 4,750 RPM, 158 Nm of torque at 3,000 RPM, with 150 Nm being available at just 2,000 RPM, has a maximum engine speed of 5,750 RPM, Nickel coated cylinders, 4 valves and 2 spark plugs per cylinder, a generously sized flywheel to aid in torque and smooth running, an additional main bearing located in the centre of the crankshaft to help rein in the undesirable bending forces from large horizontally opposed pistons, and a wet sump with a 2-stage oil pump driven from the crankshaft by a sleeve-type chain. The engine uses premium unleaded 95 to 98 octane fuel on the RON standard, has a 9.6:1 compression ratio, and emission control is handled by a closed-loop 3-way catalytic converter, and the bike is EU5 compliant. The drive shaft features a tripod joint on the gearbox end, allowing the shaft to lengthen and contract as the swing arm moves up and down. And the gearbox is a 6-speed transmission with helical gear pairs, and interestingly, a reverse gear will be available as an option, hinting at the possibility of this concept forming the backbone of future touring models to come. The reverse gear is driven by an intermediate gear and an electric motor and can be shifted manually. Other notable mentions are the new front cowl. I really like the design and the way it wraps over the forks. Different size rims front and rear like the Rocket 3. A 19-inch rim on the front wearing a Metzeler 120/70 and a 16-inch Metzeler on the rear wearing a 180/65. Finned exhaust header clamps. Curious cell-like structure air filter. At least I think it's an air filter. Hydraulic clutch. Coffin-style tapered grips. A switch disguised as a fuel tap. Is this the reverse gear selector? The steering headlock is already integrated into the head stem, and I've also noticed what looks to be accessory lugs on the rear fender, possibly for saddlebags, or a rack, or a pillion seat. And looking at the valve train, we see an adjustable screw and lock nut for adjusting the valve clearances on each valve, which should make the process of doing valve clearance checks quick and easy, as there are no shims involved. If you've ever had to adjust clearances via shims, you'll know what I'm talking about. Here's me checking valve clearances on my Thruxton 900. That process required much care and attention and was time consuming. Now that we have the details of the second R18 concept covered, here are my thoughts. I believe that with the R18, BMW are setting themselves up to take on the US and worldwide cruiser market and possibly develop a range of cruisers built up from the R18 platform. If that is the case, this is where I think they may have a problem. The riding position of the R18 concept bikes is seriously compromised by those two large cylinders placed right where your feet would be on a cruiser. If I look at the prime competitor in the cruiser category, namely Harley-Davidson, I see only a couple of the 20-odd big twin models produced with this riding position as standard. The lowriders and the street bob. But the advantage the Harleys have is that they can be fitted with forward controls and even highway pegs. Something that is just not possible with the boxer engine BMW Cruiser in its current configuration. You will never be able to stretch your legs out on the R18, and if they're planning on building more touring-oriented models from this platform, as I suspect they are, then this would be a major problem for me. I'm a cruiser rider, and that would drive me crazy. Even other close competitors in this category, like the Ducati X Diavel and new Rocket 3, come standard with or can be fitted with forward controls. Now there will be buyers out there who'll not care about this at all, and they'll be keen to snap one up as soon as they're released. I get that. But if market intrusion or challenge is BMW's plan, I worry sales may be limited for this very simple reason. Do I like the R18? Heck yeah. And if the engine is its showcase, then its tail shaft is surely its crowning glory. I love everything about the bike and heartily congratulate BMW on what they've achieved. Would I swap out the engine for something more practical? Depends on what BMW's end goal is. If it's purely a styling exercise and their target demographic is someone who just does short trips and bar hopping, then definitely not. It's perfect as it is. But if they're seeking a larger audience and want to take on all comers, then sadly, I think they need to rethink their engine choice. Where the engine is the hero of the R18, it's also, unfortunately, its Achilles heel. Having said all this, I'm still adding the R18 to the ever-growing list of bikes I like.